Alright, YouTube. Time Magazine ran with a cover and online article paired with that about the culture of hate and how they're losing the internet to people who are filled with aggression and violence and all the horror, all evil, 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 terrible, bad, immoral stuff. My first reaction was, oh, this sounds like they've turned into like a total moralist Christian publication ranting about like witches and stuff like that. That was really my first reaction. It seems basically the same to me. I know some people won't agree, but you gotta realize, like the real old like burning time style of moralism, it really resembles like when Clinton or any of these other retards, they talk about, oh, violent video games cause this, trolling causes that. We've got to crack down because children will learn to be violent. I can remember when they were talking about like Grand Theft Auto. Look back at it now, it looks like it's a Lego brick game or something. But oh, this is going to teach people that they should steal cars and shoot each other. Crime rate will skyrocket. Of course, it did the opposite. What it really does is, I guess, give people an outlet for their more aggressive urges so they don't actually do it in real life. I think it's mostly a good thing for the world. A waste of time sometimes. Everyone likes to game once in a while for the most part, so nobody cares. They're failing to grasp, and by them I mean Time Magazine as well as the rest of the fucking lamestream media. They don't seem to grasp the irony that all of these publications, the lamestream publications, I'm not talking about the underground media here, have latched on to, for instance, a presidential candidate who chuckled and laughed and cracked jokes about Gaddafi being sodomized and, raped alive and killed in that manner, who, agrees with Obama that we need to bomb Syrians more often. We really need to start bombing Assad's forces so the country can fall into mayhem. These are people who almost invariably follow some version of Abrahamism, whether they're a Muslim, a Christian, or a Jew, with the violent rantings and preachings of those religions. How dare they tell anybody else what morality is, what hate or aggression are? How dare they claim that some random troll online, by virtue of saying something that is unkind or something that pisses somebody off, is somehow doing wrong, and yet the things that they do, police state, domestic surveillance, fucking up entire economies so people go hungry, that's somehow morally okay? I beg to differ. I think that what they do, and the mainstream media colludes in this, gets all sorts of kickbacks for their coverage. They make millions and billions and trillions of dollars, making millions and billions of people very, very miserable. So you will excuse me if I don't take their claim seriously. I don't care about the so-called culture of hate on the internet. These are the same people that every election, they use a bunch of propaganda and political ads to convince Americans to get on one another and be at each other's throats, and yet they talk about, oh, divisive language online, aggressive language online. My goodness, take a look at what these people say on a constant basis. Half the policies that they actually suggest, if they carry them through at all, they do more harm than any help. The other half are ineffective and do absolutely nothing at all. It's not like they've passed anything in the last few decades that's benefited anybody. And this isn't just the case in the United States, this is the case all over the world. I would think that a government that attempts to disarm its people and crack down and tell them what they can say and what they can think and abuses them constantly, I would think that that's a little bit worse than somebody posting online comments that happen to be unkind. Oh, I'm so offended. Misogyny, ma racism, ma privilege, ma whatever. Insert something here that pisses some special snowflake retard group off. Well, I don't care. People get offended at what I say. And I just chuckle. And I say, well, if you're offended, you don't have to watch my fucking material. You can go watch Sesame Street or a Justin Bieber video. That's probably more your mental level. You can go watch somebody who will never say anything offensive. Now, what they mean by offensive is generally a truth that they don't want to hear. They just don't want to hear it. They live in their own little bubble. They live in their echo chamber. This is the case, by the way, regrettably, with some member, and this is why the movement needs to really reform itself. Within the alt-right, there are plenty of people who do prefer the echo chamber to actually going out and telling anybody that they might have to debate with what they believe in. It's really a problem. If anything, we've got too little free speech on the internet, not too much. It's not like, oh, the internet's too free, therefore people are offended, we need to do something about this. That's what makes it exciting. That's what makes it innovative. That's what makes it an actual source of progress in a bleak world situation where every nation in this world, from the freest to the least free, is strangulated to some degree. That's what makes it special. There's a reason why people don't watch TV. When I saw the CNNs and MSNBCs gloating about how Trump's acceptance speech at the RNC drew in a record low number of people, I think, since the 80s or the 90s, as far as these televised sort of RNC speeches go. I said, well, it's not his fault. People are abandoning TV, and you'll see the DNC will suffer the same problem. I had a horde of people on every leftist site that I could post this on, telling me it ain't so, it's because of division, it's because evil Hitler orange dude. And I was right. Their ratings were even lower overall than the RNC's ratings, and Hillary's acceptance speech barely was on par with Trump's as far as that goes. People have abandoned television because it's not interactive, it's a bunch of lamestream crap, it's boring, nobody gives a god fuck about the television anymore. The boob tube is dying off. What do most people use their televisions for now? Netflix or streaming YouTube videos? Or something along those lines. They're using the internet on that TV. They're just using it as a big old screen. They're not using it to tune into their local cable, the public access cable or anything like that, because it's retarded. It's stupid. It got to the point there, sort of before the era of, truly a lot of streams and a lot of content really available online, so you don't need TV at all in any sense of the word. It got to the point where I was watching C-SPAN. Because honestly, watching a bunch of half-drunk senators ramble on and on about issues they don't know anything about got to be more exciting than anything that's produced by the crappy television stations or by Hollywood when they have these movies on TV or something like that. It's crap. It's a bunch of nonsense. Any randomly chosen independent content creator, whether they're managing a blog, whether they're managing a Facebook group related to politics, spirituality, whatever it is, any random YouTuber has more talent in their little finger than most of the people that produce this crap. There's a reason why so many people have migrated to the internet. And yeah, when you get a bunch of people who prior, they could only speak up in person because there was no real way for them to access the means of wider communication because television stations were simply controlled by a bunch of corporate entities, whereas the internet is much more decentralized, and even is now that a handful of companies have gobbled up a significant market share. You think of Facebook and Twitter and some of these other large companies, certainly Google. They're gigantic. But at the same time, most of these social media platforms, the way in which they must function in order to pull in any revenue at all is completely decentralized. They abuse the users too much, somebody else will simply create a competitor site. We saw this happen with MySpace. People didn't like the new format. It was too controlled. It was too constraining. They moved to Facebook. Facebook would probably be dead by now if MySpace hadn't fucked itself in the ass. People know this. And there are basic rudimentary guides. Yeah, you're not supposed to slap a bunch of hardcore porn on these sites. Yeah, you're not supposed to have a video of you smoking crack on YouTube. I think that's a fair trade-off. But to ask people to be concerned about the so-called culture of hate when that's all we hear, take a look at the television stations. Here's a war movie, lots of shooting. Here's a crime movie, they're shooting and they're using heroin. And here's the 3-hour rape special, and here's an expose on what this evil, corrupt evildoer has done, and so forth. Every fucking thing on there, unless it's like some sappy emotional garbage like The Notebook or Benjamin Button sort of crap or Titanic. Everything else is some degree of violence, corruption, and sexual intrigue. And you're worried about the culture on the internet? There are more sensible people on the internet, I assure you, than in any of these sort of fictional encounters that people are witnessing anytime they tune into a fucking soap opera. They're boring, they're retarded, and they require a lot of capital to create. It doesn't require any capital to create a YouTube channel, though, now does it? You got some person, all they've got is their laptop and their webcam, and they're ready to go. That's all they need, and an internet connection to upload their material. and they can get millions of people viewing their stuff. At the same time that Time is ranting and whining and complaining and pretending that there's some big issue over this culture of hate, which is, I'm telling you, exactly the same as a gun crime epidemic that doesn't exist. Exactly the same as violent video games will cause X, Y, and Z. It never happened. Exactly the same as, as reefer madness and acid craze and all of the, and salvia causes you to, build an altar to Beelzebub and asphyxiate yourself with a charcoal grill. None of these things are real. That's just fear-mongering. What Time is doing is clear fear-mongering. I have tens of thousands of subscribers. I talk to many people every single day. Most of the comments left on material even of a more edgy quality like mine, it's certainly not for little kids to be watching. But even that more mature material where I'm discussing things that typically whip people up into a frenzy. I get relatively few critics on there saying anything truly despicable. Most of it is, well, I disagree with you, here's why. Or, oh, well, you're a moron. Well, somebody saying, oh, you're a moron, that's not hate speech. It's not a culture of hate. It's just their opinion. You hear the same thing if you tune into the retarded mainstream news anyway. You'll hear these people constantly browbeat one another. What, because they got a six-figure salary and a suit and tie, it makes their opinion more important? These people don't have a clue what they're talking about most of the time. You've got people with journalism degrees discussing geopolitics like armchair generals. You've got people who will never have to serve in a war, promoting war. That includes idiot politicians like Hillary Clinton. It includes idiots all over the world. These people do not know of what they speak, and yet they're taken seriously because they have some honorary title, or they were elected to office, or they rose to office in some oligarchic system, or they're a descendant through some monarchy, or they've got a degree in journalism or business or something totally unrelated to what they discuss 99% of the time. So what's the point? What's the point of paying attention? Time magazine has completely missed the irony in that while being a magazine that talks about, oh, Saddam this, Osama that, terrorist this, so many gun deaths, evil racist violence, rape epidemic, gun violence epidemic, drug epidemic, oh, Zika virus, epidemics everywhere, Yellowstone, all this constant stream, this deluge of fear, which is what half of their core content is then complaining that too many little people on the internet are expressing their opinions and it makes people sad. Well, fucking who cares? I hope that the people at Time Magazine are sad. They deserve it. They shouldn't even exist anymore. They're vestigial. It's the legacy media. All these magazines and like older news sites and so forth, they're all legacy. They don't even matter anymore. The television is completely decrepit. It's no longer even useful in today's world. You know what you're going to be using your TV for in 10 years? You're not going to be getting cable. There'll be public access and there'll be C-SPAN. That's probably all that'll be there. If these media sites continue to persist at all, they're going to be streaming mainly through the internet, and secondary to this, people will be watching it on TV or listening to it on the radio. And that's the sum and substance of it. It's going the way of the dinosaur. It's outmoded completely. So I'm not surprised that they're arguing for more centrality and more censorship, because it allows them to get an edge in on the very lucrative internet-based business. Because right now they have to compete with some random YouTuber, some random Facebook group that's pulverizing them into the dust as far as their viewership goes, because people are more interested in listening to somebody who doesn't have the journalism degree and isn't just shilling for the lamestream concept of reality constantly. There's a reason why, like, InfoWars rises up and the Young Turks, it doesn't even matter about what political or religious affiliations they have. It's simply more interesting because it's not what people are used to, being controlled by multi-million-dollar marketing campaigns. So fuck Time Magazine. I don't read it. I hope nobody else here subscribes to their crap. Yeah, so, oh, we need more censorship. People will be concerned. People are being cyberbullied. They act like it's some new thing. Oh, we're losing the war against this culture of hate. It's been happening for years. People have always been trolling. I used to troll Alamac back in the early 2000s when I was still in elementary school. So, don't try to convince me that this is some new revelation. I was trolling ICQ years and years ago. I basically ripped their entire chat site apart, and now ICQ is basically just a Skype service. I've done all of these things too. Yeah, sometimes people get really pissed off. You're disrupting their content. And it's fun. There's a reason why when Minecraft first started getting big, one of the biggest things about it was griefing. You know, now they've smacked down all creativity, and every server you go on is really, really controlled and has all sorts of plugins to keep you from doing buttfuck anything unless you have 3 accounts and spend 2 months subscribed to them. Which is why I no longer use Minecraft. It's no longer sort of a Wild West style game like it should have been. It's no longer fun. That's the fucking point. Do you want the internet to be as bland as television? Where you have to get some $1,000 license from the government to put any content on it because, you know, fuck creativity, or you have to work for a company and be accepted by them as far as being a content creator? I think not. I think it's a bad idea, but that's increasingly what they're going to push for. You know damn well. The reason why Obama's trying to give away sort of the addressing service of the internet to the world at large, he wants that to happen. He wants it to be just corporatized and broken apart into these little sort of corporate clusters. A lot easier to control the flow of information if that happens. A lot easier. You can get a lot more censorship, you can raise the fees a lot, you can make it a lot harder for people that are inconvenient for your bottom line to speak out. That's why they want it. That's why the corporatists of the world, the globalists, want this arrangement. It's as clear as day. And Time agrees completely. And so do all the lamestream media sites. You think it matters which candidate they back? You think it matters whether you're talking about MSNBC or Fox? They're exactly the same. They're money-making corporate entities. I don't understand why people don't get this. I just don't understand it. It's so obvious what they're doing. It's so obvious what their ulterior motives are. I guess it's too obvious for people to understand. So Time Magazine misses the irony completely. They're the ones pushing all this violence and bloodshed and gore and sexuality and drug use. That's all on TV. That's all in movies. That's not on the internet. On the internet, things are generally more calm. The fact that people can put themselves out there, say what they want to say, that is a good thing. That's about all. Peace out.